Today I wanted to talk about positive relationships. And by positive relationships, I don't necessarily mean a relationship that is full of happiness or good feelings necessarily. I think that a positive relationship is one where when we come into contact with negativity or emotions, we still uphold some sort of integrity and space for boundaries and openness when we receive or encounter something that doesn't feel good to us. But I made a picture. I initially called it, well, it's probably backwards, I'm not sure, positive femininity, but I'm not entirely sure that that's the kind of term I was looking for because this isn't really about masculinity or femininity. It's rather about relationships in general, the relationship that we have with ourself, the relationship that we have with the tribe, and the relationship that we have with the collective. I have a large number of groups here that I have gathered to select the most important elements of harboring these positive relationships. So I'm just going to read them and maybe go into them a little bit. There's obviously going to be a lot more groups that I could add to it, and I also merged some groups together. So just bear with me because this is just a really, really rough prototype. So yes, one aspect of having a positive relationship is being open to receiving. We must be open to just whatever energies that we are feeling. It's not necessarily about being open to receiving outside energy, although it can be immensely beneficial to us to receive energy that is, how do I put it? It's good to receive energy. I don't like the word good, but yes. So it can be healthy to receive energy and just digest it rather than react to it, which is what I mean by being open to receiving. Open to receiving rather than open to responding. Because when we respond, it usually shows closedness. We're not open enough to see what we're really feeling, feel what we're really feeling. The next part of what I am talking about is separation from judgments. I think it's unhealthy to say to get rid of judgments. We can't really get rid of judgments. Our very biology is based on being able to discern and see a situation and respond to that situation to make ourselves safe. Be it we see a bear, or let's use a different example. We see a person and they're walking in a demeanor that we judge as aggressive. Well, I think it's a safety mechanism to have that judgment. But what comes next is the separation of that judgment. We need to separate from it because we don't live in a society where, well, most of us don't live in a society where somebody that has a dangerous presence on a first glance, it might be dangerous. They might not be dangerous. We might just be ascribing stereotypes to that person based on a meaning that our society has created, which is causing us to respond in a certain way that might not be founded and might not be necessary. Since we live in a day where we can go for a walk and we don't have to worry about where our food's coming from, we don't have to worry necessarily about danger every given moment. Since we don't have all of these kinds of dangers and situations anymore, we are fortunate to have the opportunity to separate from judgments. That means we judge and then we distance. We sit with the judgment, but we don't hold on to attachment to that judgment. We don't say, oh, I feel this way, therefore. We say, oh, I feel this way, and just observe our judgments rather than use those judgments to form the basis for, or the foundation of how we view a person or a situation. The next element to a positive relationship, and these are in no particular order, is love. And by love, I mean love for ourselves, for others, and for the collective. in order to have a healthy relationship with oneself, we have to have an appreciation and deep-founded love for that which we are. We have to be loving towards ourselves and the ways in which we want to change, even seeing our shadows and things that we don't like about ourselves. Well, if we aren't feeling deep love towards ourselves, we can become very, very cruel and harsh to ourselves for the ways in which we want to be and aren't. But if we hold space in ourselves to love ourselves above all and see that we are good people, we are trying our best, and we have these moments where we aren't doing the best that we can, then we have the space for compassion and we can grow from that. But when we are judging ourselves and don't have that space and don't have that love, we hold ourselves back. The next component is connection to and expression of boundaries. Now, I've written about boundaries before, and I have another thing I have to say about it in another video like this. But today, I specifically want to say that we need to be connected to our boundaries. We need to figure out why we feel what we do, and then we need to express those boundaries both to ourselves and to others so that we can see if those people respect our boundaries. If they don't respect our boundaries, then that's a clue that maybe that person isn't right for us in that given time. And I believe that when we feel anger, outrage, or there's a sense of injustice, that's an opportunity to tap into our boundaries. Why do I feel this way? Do I have a boundary that isn't being upheld? Chances are you do. I do. We all do. We have boundaries that we might not be identifying with, and then we feel anger as a response to the injustice of our boundaries being crossed. The next component is mental and spiritual expression. I combine these. I mean, it doesn't just have to be mental and spiritual. And another part, I have physical and emotional expression. And all of these types of expressions are very important ways in which we can communicate and connect and relate to others as well as ourselves. We need to have physical expression of how we're feeling, be it through dance or yoga or a workout or stillness, even, is a physical presence. We need to have emotional expression where we have vulnerability through our sharing, for example. This is another part of what I've written because I thought it was a little different, but it's still the same. It's emotional expression, and through vulnerability and sharing our vulnerability, tapping into the vulnerability, this is something that can be really hard for us to do. I know that I struggle with vulnerability. Sometimes it's almost silly to me what I'm anxious about in regards to vulnerability. At the same time, it's really important for me to sometimes put myself out there and not be afraid, because if I am separate from the judgment, if I am open to receiving what comes to me, if I love myself, if I am connected to and capable of expressing my boundaries, then I'll be okay, and I can trust that I'll be okay through the expression of sharing that vulnerability. Another element is tribal rituals. Now, this one can be so many different things. We have a tribe, a group of friends, a family, anything that we connect to based on some sort of commonality, and we create and foster rituals that are harmonious and beneficial to our tribe. It could be something simple as movie night or game night. It could be something like forming a circle in which we all gather and share our experiences. It could be having a fire ceremony at the new moon or something. It could be drinking tea at the full moon and celebrating what we have, or drinking cacao. It could be so many different things, and these are all important ways to foster that relationship that we have with ourselves and with others by almost validating the tribe, because it's really hard to go through all of these different ways in which to have healthy boundaries and healthy relationships when we're trying to transform and we're trying to incorporate all of these elements into our relationships. It's almost a push-pull effect. It's harmony and discord. It's stress and release. So when we are creating a new dialogue, it can be a difficult thing to do. That's why having some sort of ritual, some sort of continuity can be very beneficial to reassuring everybody in the tribe that we're okay and we're going through it together. And even if we have tension, even if we have to say something that doesn't feel good and we have to express boundaries that feel restrictive, we're still here and we still have positive experiences in which to remember each other by. The next point I want to make is about need for space. Within a relationship, we have to remember that we are an individual within the collective, and we shouldn't lose sight of our individual needs. We need space. We need freedom to express ourselves. We need freedom to just be undisturbed. Some people need more space than others. I know I need quite a lot of space to digest my experiences. It's very valuable to me, and it's valuable to everybody. And the last component is what I wrote, harnessing the sacred earth. Now, I said it like this because it's about respect for our planet and what we put into the earth and water and ourselves and what we take out. When we harness the power of good agriculture, permaculture, when we harness the power of clean water sources, clean renewable energy, and ways in which to get rid of plastic and get rid of waste in a positive way that doesn't harm our planet. Having a negative carbon footprint, we all wish we could do that. It's so challenging in this day and age. But in order to have a healthy ecosystem, we need to treat it like it's a healthy ecosystem. Fostering the earth, harnessing all that it has to offer without taking too much, without putting unhealthy things in, is a really difficult balance that I don't have the answer to. But I know that if we can form communities that do value and appreciate this, we create more connection with the earth and more connection with the tribe and more connection with ourselves, which leads to a better planet. Because if I've learned anything over these past couple of years, especially this last one, it's that what we put out there is what we receive. And just like any crop that's doing poorly because it's not receiving the nutrients it needs, so too is humanity, so too is the planet. The planet is suffering because of how we treat it. And we're seeing those side effects through what's happening today. Now, these points in which we can harness positive relationships, I share these because I know that while the top down is really necessary for bringing change, we can do something too on the small scale. I have a dream of forming small scale groups that really focus on their relationships with themselves and with others in the ways in which I have just shared. Because if we do that, then maybe we can see some changes and maybe we can inspire more people to do it. I'm a little discouraged about the possibility of taking down the system and getting the top to care about the bottom, because we see time and time again that the people in power are so displaced and they're all about profits over safety and the earth. And it's led to a deep distrust within the people to where we see this whole debate going on, this gigantic debate of individuality versus the state. Well, there's something missing in between the individual and the state, and that is the tribe. And I believe that if we can heal the tribe, we can heal the rest. So that's just my perspective. I'm just sharing that because I want to put something positive out there, and I want to form better relationships with all of the people that I love. So I hope everybody is having a good day. I hope that you all take care, and I hope that if anybody watched this to the end, we remember what really matters above all, and that is care for ourselves and care for others. Bye.